subject to, they then further said, subject to an Indian standard being in place. That Indian standard as we speak is now being created. So which is about, in about 8-10 months ahead of us, where the first obligations kick in, the standard should really be in place. So these are the Indian regulations. Next please. So this is one framework. In the European, the previous, I think Mr. Graham Hood's slide also referred to some of these regulations elsewhere outside of India. Some of these were talked about, the PPWD regulation, the single-use plastic directive, and the latest one is the what I call 2022/16/16 regulation. So which talks about recycled plastic materials that are intended to come into contact with food. So India and the European Union seem to be going in tandem in putting in place several regulations, essentially which ask for a very high level of decontamination of recycled plastics so that they are safe to be used for food packaging. Next please. And while these are happening national levels, these or continental levels regulations, there is a global plastic treaty that is in the offing. Next please. And in order to build this global treaty, several rounds of intergovernmental negotiations have happened. INC 1, INC 2, INC 3, INC 4 recently got conducted in Ottawa, and the next one, INC 5, which is supposed to be the next one, please. Yeah, is going to happen in Busan in South Korea sometime in November, and that will kind of seal the contours of this global plastic treaty. And once that is done, it will be ratified by all countries. Next, please. Keep moving, yeah. Once that is ratified, you will have the global plastic treaty. Some of the elements of this global plastic treaty are enunciated here. So next please. So some of the things that should be of immediate concern to this audience is that one of the features is talks about capping of the production of primary polymers. Then they talk about chemicals and polymers of concern. What these concerns are not yet defined as we speak. These things are getting negotiated. Then there is a third thing which is problematic and avoidable plastic products. Again, these are some undefined things, and defining these is a part of ongoing negotiations. And there is a requirement of EPR as well. So this is happening at a global level also. So with this, yeah, thank you. So with this global framework within which the recycling industry or the plastic industry needs to operate is the theme of this session of panel discussion. So to begin this, in my opinion, you can switch this off, yeah. In my opinion, the first step of handling used plastics, you can call plastic waste or whatever it is the collection. If the collection is done properly, subsequent, whether you do recycling, reusing, repurposing, all these are dependent on technologies which are the easy.
Wrong is we are sorting material at the end of the value chain, presently, at the recycler end mainly. Lot of material mixing, quality contamination happens at the collection end. And there is a significant work needs to be done on collection and segregation both to really scale up that volume. As an organization, in the journey of last 15 years, I've made thousands of mistakes, and what we have seen is there is significant level of operational efficiency which can be brought in by using tech, AI, and a lot of other stuff, not only in collection, because there is significant solutions which are coming in for rewarding people for their good behavior. Sure. So that is first step which we have started to solve for. Second is about monitoring using artificial intelligence about what is being collected and what is being delivered. And third is with respect to sorting technologies at the aggregation level itself, because there is significant opportunity of almost 20 to 35% process losses and efficiencies which can be brought in if we are able to do the segregation at near the source. I wouldn't say at the source, but near the source. And all this while creating an inclusive environment by building trust and transparency in the value chain, including the waste pickers in the bottom of economic pyramid in the value chain, and creating significant entrepreneurship opportunities. Because waste is such a business that it's going to be regional. You would require regional players to come into play with a lot of entrepreneurship coming in. Technology like Sanjeevani, which we have developed using AI, which is a fully autonomous waste sorting plant under our Ishitwa division, is essentially going to remove the whole skill requirement for segregation of waste. Now, in GCPRS, we are actually showing the demo of it.
But isn't it that, on the one hand, you are wanting to uplift the bottom of the pyramid, and on the other hand, by using AI, you are kind of making them redundant.
So thank you for this question, because, I think we have to understand the quantum of waste is so huge. And to bring the economies of scale and ability to sort more, technology is going to be required, innovation is going to be required. At the same time, we require more people to do collection at source, to ensure that the livelihoods are brought into mainstream, they are actually making better livelihood and all. So we have actually showcased those models, where we are actually operating where people are making anywhere between 30 to 55,000 rupees per month in collection of waste. We are now actually testing on aggregator model, where aggregators will start using these machines to increase the scale, because most of the aggregators, when they are doing manual sorting, the tonnage limits up to 3 to 5 tons max. If they are doing even a best quality material, 3 to 5 tons. And number of manpower required is so huge that
if you see now the bottles are coming in PET, in HDP and in PP. A single polymer base, if the structure can come in our country, it can be very helpful for the recycler. We as a recycler know how much is the problem when we are getting the mixed scrap. Not only that, we have to sell the material to the brands back again. So when we are going to the brand, the cost of the recycled polymer today is getting higher. The reason is, as you spoke to Sandeep, lot of technology is coming in, lot of high investment is coming. So government has to see, and even the brand owners, there are so many big brands today here. As a recycler, what I can say here is, we see the example of the PET bottles. Bottles are coming in HDP, the caps are coming in HDP and in PP. Plus, there are various shades. As a recycler, I can request here to the government authorities and to the brands, for the convenience of the recycler, if the shade can be made a neutral shade of the cap. And the bottles, I understand, a single polymer is not possible, but we request at least 2. Why 3, why 4? Keep 2 polymers, whatever it is, HD and PP or PET and HD. So, the quantum of a PET recycler, the cap regrind, a 500 to 1000 metric ton is the minimum quantity which a good size PET recycler is generating. That cap grinding value is just 20 or 25 rupees, the mixed polymer. If it is of a single polymer and if it is of a single shade, the price of that will become 60 rupees.
But who do you think should take the lead, the brand owners, or should government mandate?
So it should be a combination, sir. I would like to use a statement here which I have heard many times, adversities in life is inevitable, but suffering is our choice. So the same statement, I am applying here. Okay. The adversities are all this. This plastic menace has become an adversity now. But is it a generated adversity, or is it a man-made adversity? That point is to be understood. It is very easily possible that the caps are one polymer, one shade, so the recycler is doing that. AI is there, okay, we agree, but the cost of AI and all those things. Why can't the brand do this, and why can't some authority come and implement this rule? It will be so easy, and the material which will be available again back in the market, it will be a single polymer, single
that point is taken. So I take it from you that you need a little bit of brand owner's own initiative, but some push by the government to kind of mandate into fewer SKUs for components for this packaging.
Right.
Right. So this is there are a few more things, and for the benefit of the audience, the format is such that at the 47th minute of this panel discussion, we'll open it up for another 1 hour of discussion on.
See, here I got 2 points. One is that government mandate on the EPR policy and recycle component. And what the Indian government's policy is it audible? Yeah. I will say that it's a kind of global benchmark. It's one of the unique, very simple. And the same policy was was implemented for tire, and in India is working beautifully. So that's one. But for the brand owner, they have to understand that if you want to go for 30% or 50% recycling within a year, you have to take lead on your own. please don't wait till for the government mandate. It is our own, everybody's obligation to ensure that in fact how fast we can proceed with how fast we can go with the higher and higher component of the recycle, hence lower GHG. So that's point one, that in fact brand owners, in fact there are some brand owners who are taking lead, and I request all the brand owners to not to look into the cost component, because alternate cost of glass and metal will be very, very expensive. If recycle component, if you are able to increase with the marginal increase in cost, you should be open. That's one. Second, in fact, is more important point will be that what are the options, especially for the food grade packaging. PET, yes, in fact, that's proven, but for polyolefin, it's a big task, especially when you are not getting very clean material from the consumer end. Obviously, in that case, in fact, beside the mechanical recycling, you have to go for chemical recycling. And chemical recycling currently, at present cost, and the final price, what you're getting, it may not be kind of financially lucrative. So not people are venturing into, but there's a lot of activity happening in how to pre-treat the material, how to effectively pyrolyze material, use alternate technology like using various catalysts. And finally, more important is that final product, rather than using as a fuel or feedstock to the cracker, how that could be further valorized by using CO2 which is generated in the process and do some more reforming and get more value-added product. So the entire value chain and value addition is possible. We require, in fact, everybody working together for the task.
Great. So we have seen so far the collection and sorting. We have seen, some mandates and some recycling technologies. But we have Aditya Dalmia ji, whom I would like to ask a question that ultimately
is the next future. Basically, like for the European Union, especially in food contact, minimum 95% you have to use food, bottles for rPET resins. So, and there has to be a traceable chain to certify and justify that whatever you have used is actually 95% minimum food grade bottles. Similarly, all large brands want to be sure that they are using recycled material and they are not using virgin material which is being palmed off as recycled material. So that is another thing which they want to be sure, because ultimately they are declaring that we have used 30% recycled content or 20%, whatever will be the mandate. So at Dalmia we have also developed a tool called Trace Waste, which maps the material right from the rack picker up to the consumer. So you can trace the material where it was picked, where it was aggregated, where it was recycled.
And how do you do that?
So it's all digital. It's a digital tool.
Okay.
So it's done digitally completely.
So wonderful. So I mean, a lot of integration of,
Yeah, because technology is going to be an integral part of this entire recycling process. So this is going to really, in the future, take force.
So great. So we have studied the traceability, but fine. So you have material which is sourced well, which is segregated well. You have ensured traceability. You have asked the brand owners to do certain thing, adopt fewer SQs, etc. But ultimately, after recycling, it's the quality that is important.
Of course.
So here I would like to bring in our special guest Dhruv, Dhawan, and ask him a question that are there what kind of
many additives, stabilized additives for that. There are it's being in polar polymer. It resistant moisture, oxygen and common chemicals. It retains its properties number of times whenever you circulate the material and its properties. During recycling, there is a tendency called discoloration. It can be recovered by the antioxidant. Sometimes we may trace a smell which can be covered by the deodorizing additive and which does not affect any adverse successive recycling. We ensure that the PCR which we are making is close to virgin material, and quality by internally blowing bottles at our end and carrying out straightened to a finished goods. So we Recraft have a quality plan and test SOPs for each stage of manufacturing, which is raw material testing, pre-washing testing, post-washing testing, process testing, and finished good testing. This makes sure that our entire recycling is working smoothly. Each lot of PCR is being tested by the MFI, density and ash content, and moisture analysis by stipulated interval of time. We also maintain the high consistency of color shared by the measuring with the help of spectrophotometer, and we also have mechanical properties are also being tested at our center.
Brilliant, thank you. A round of applause. See, this is such an enriching thing that, we also need to kind of be patient, and so that we get a lot of wisdom that is available. Dhruv?
Yeah. So obviously, a lot of testing methodologies, are very, very common in PO as well as PET, because ultimately both of them are thermoplastic polymers. Now, for PET specifically, as per, the directions of the EFSA, there is already a very beautifully laid out QC testing program, which includes testing of the input raw materials, starting from the input of the food grade bottles to your flakes. So it is very, very important, first of all, to have a very, very good washing systems in your process, which operates very consistently, closely monitors, that the washing quality of the final flakes with respect to the chemical concentrations, with respect to the food safe chemicals used for the washing process are very, very closely monitored. Then at the end, it is very important to monitor the contaminants which are finally present at the flake level, pre-washing as well as post-washing. I think that is one of the biggest determinators of the quality of the flake that will be used for the downstream processing for the granule. Now finally, when we produce the granule, we do two types of, the testing is divided into two parts basically. One of them is the physical properties testing, the mechanical properties of the polymer, pertaining to IV, color, moisture content, etc. And then the second part is, the major part is the chemical properties. So, since this PCR material is intended to go into food contact applications, it is very, very important that, for every batch of PCR, we do migration testing, specific and overall migrations for, as per the food safety standards. It's very, very important that we do volatile VOC testings, for every batch that we manufacture, as well as now, which is a very upcoming topic and has been included in the new EFSA regulations, the 2022 regulations, which is the NIA screening, the non-intentionally added substances. So, all of us, including brand owners, recyclers, and, molders, we need to understand that PCR, although, all of us claim and, say that it is virgin-like, it performs like virgin, it is next to virgin, close to virgin, and, there are so many attributes that we call it. But ultimately, we need to understand that the feedstock and the source where it is coming from is post-consumer waste. And specifically for us in India, the system, the collection system, how the waste reaches to a recycler is not in the best and the most formalized state. And we need to ensure that every batch of PCR that is manufactured is very, very strictly and very, very heavily tested for, for all these physical as well as chemical properties, and only then it is, basically accepted to go into food contact application. I think that is what we follow as a very close and very monitored approach of, of making sure that the batches of PCR that we are manufacturing, specifically for food contact, cater to these very stringent requirements.
So very good. But, I have a question that while adopting technologies that are approved, what is called a challenge test is kind of applied, and then, a technology is approved. the elaborate testing that you just mentioned, how well it correlates